Hi again, everybody. I'm Jamie Allison, and this is the Big Idea, Big Moves podcast. This is the destination for high performers. We talk to people from different genres, just people doing really interesting things in their space. We talk to lots of athletes, lots of CEOs, entrepreneurs, just again, people doing really interesting things that we can find out a bit about their journey and what they're doing and hopefully apply them to our own lives as well. Just before we jump into today's interview, really excited about that one. The episode today is brought to you by Thirdsea. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a little while, you know that Thirdsea creates natural products that help athletes, high performers, just people wanting to get better quality rest and recovery from physical and mental stress. And they have a PM recovery collagen that is melatonin free, it's sedative free. It just helps you get better quality rest, but also supports joint and muscle repair for those people that are maybe working out and doing some of those things as well. And so if you're interested in that, go to thirdsea.com or if you go into our Instagram bio, there's actually a link there and you can use the coupon code BIBM20 and you can save 20%. So definitely check that out, see if it's something that interests you. Today, really happy to have Alayne Wadsworth with us. She is not just a dancer, so you'll find that out, but a multifaceted talent who's really expanded her horizons into acting and modeling and a bunch of other things that we'll talk about. She has a pretty remarkable story. She's appeared on shows like America's Got Talent and World of Dance, and has also overcome some challenges as well with scoliosis surgery, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about. So first of all, thanks very much for taking some time with us today, Alayne.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And what an introduction. I was like, sometimes you forget what you really gone through, and then some people kind of remind you, you're like, yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure. And to sum it up, but very, very, very grateful for being here and thankful for the opportunity, and anything you guys want to talk about, I'm happy to talk about.
Cool. Well, again, lots of stuff there, but maybe we'll kind of work back a bit for those people who maybe aren't as familiar with your journey to getting here. Obviously, you have a dance background, so maybe we'll kind of start. Is that something that drove you from an early age? How did you kind of get on this path that you're on, of success now?
I started in my later days. A lot of people start to talk about, they're like, oh, well, did you start when you were 3 or 5
Yeah,
dancing? And I'm like, well, maybe in my living room at home or like with my sisters or something like just being a kid. But
sure.
definitely always creative was on my mind. Music was playing and I was just wanting to have some fun. So I guess maybe I just never grew out of that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
continued doing what I am doing right now. So I ended up actually moving to Utah in my later years and started dancing because a lot of the programs here, the schools here, they have these amazing programs, after school programs that kids can join where there's dance classes that are available for us to go to. And I just honed into that. I couldn't afford going to the studio and buying all my lessons and studio time. So I took advantage of using the after school program and learning and teaching myself there. And I had amazing, I want to say, quote unquote, coaches there, probably not official coaches, but they were incredible. Oh, what's the word? Just icons in my life, on mentors, that's the word.
Yeah, yeah.
They were just incredible mentors that came into my life and gave me that outlook to kind of use my energy in that way. So I just kept dancing, and I received my full scholarship to go to college, which I wasn't really thinking that I was going to go to college because I didn't think that I could afford it. And so when I received the scholarship, doing the talents that I was doing was really, really proud moment. And I just kept going. Like it was just a matter of like, okay, well, what's the next step? What's the next goal? I'm like, you know what? I want to go for this. And I want to compete in the world championships, or I want to go to British or the British Open championships. And
Mhm.
when I say dance, a lot of people are like, well, what kind of dance is she doing? I'm like, this is ballroom dancing. This is dancing with the stars, glitz and glam dancing, spray tans and all.
Yeah,
That I was
yeah.
doing. And I really loved it. It was also a great way of being able to express myself in ways that I couldn't actually express um, through my words. So it was my escape, and I kept doing it. Ironically, during this time, this is where things kind of like started changing for me.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with severe scoliosis in seventh grade when they go in and like check your spine to make sure if you're straight or not. And obviously, I had a big curvage that was pretty severe at the time that they ended up putting me in a body brace for 5 years. And this was 23 hours a day wearing this brace. So, but I kept dancing because again, that was my escape from thinking that I had to be held back or restrained or told that I couldn't do something. That's just my personality. My parents would tell you, like, you tell her she can't do it, she'll go and do it anyways.
Yeah,
That's just
like how important is that mindset for going through something like that? Because I like how much of that resilience, I guess, to go through something that
yeah.
probably at that age is pretty impactful too. I mean, like let's be fair,
Oh,
that's also something that's probably just meant a big mental challenge to get past too. And what was
oh,
that like
yeah.
for you?
I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be completely honest. And I really want to be honest with the audience that listens to this because I don't want I come across as this really happy type person, and that has been a choice of mine. There are times that I'm having a really, really hard time. And so in seventh grade and going into high school, we're all trying to figure out who we are, what we are, whatever that is. It's like, and so it was difficult. You know, I felt like, oh, well, here are the cards laid in front of me, and I have no choice in the matter. And physically, mentally, it was difficult, but I had, like I said, amazing mentors that just, they taught me a lot about other athletes and people that just pushed through really tough times. And that really set that mindset for me. And okay, this is so crazy. And not many people know this. And sorry if I go off course, but I have an identical twin sister.
Mhm.
So having that identical person, I mean, identical, we look exactly alike, but yet she didn't have any of the stuff that I had to deal with. So having that person, it was an automatic, like, okay, well, there's a reminder. We are not the same. Even
Yeah,
if we have the same genes and we
right.
look the exact same, our life is going to turn out completely different. And that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay. It's a
yeah.
matter of what we make of it. And that is up to us. So,
It's interesting because that could be having almost that mirror all the time, like a mirror of you at the time, a
yes,
real 3D mirror.
a real
Um,
3D mirror. Yes.
yeah, and to know that, that could go positively or negatively for you at that time. It could be that if you have a negative mindset, it might be here's all the things I don't have, and
Yes.
the things that are not opportunities, but instead, are things that are difficult to get through. And that is it's pretty awesome that you're able to look at it in a positive way and see that it just sets you on a slightly different course that way.
Right. It definitely did. And it's definitely made me like more motivated to just keep going in life. I mean, again, like we fast forward a couple, I'm going to say my 26, I can't remember quite the age. I think it was like later 20s, 25, 26 that I was required to have scoliosis surgery. So I was fused from the top to the very bottom of my spine. And this was a choice because I wanted to continue living. The doctors came to me and they said, you've got maybe 3 years until you're puncturing a lung. So we can have the surgery now or we can wait later down the road. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I don't want to wait any longer. I'd like to take care of this. So I ended up having a surgery. And during that time, I had just finished winning Dancing with the Stars season 10 with my college league team. I just finished doing British Open Championships. Like I was on my height of things that I thought like I have accomplished it and I've done it. And it in a matter of like 1 hour, 5 hours after the procedure, like that's all gone. I had to learn how to roll over, sit up, change, walk, everything all over again. Um, and I didn't think that I would actually dance again. But during that time that I was recovering, like I really like the brain, the confidence, the like go getter type attitude, it was kind of coming to a crashing time. And I just felt um depleted. I was out of breath at that point. Like, what do I do? So every minute, every moment really does count. And I figured I'm like, okay, well, if I'm wallowing in my pain and I am so sad, it doesn't help with how I'm feeling. honestly.
Yeah.
So if I can keep going with this, let's start setting some goals every single day and just achieving those small little goals, whether that's I fed myself, I got up to actually use the restroom on my own, like high
Yeah.
fives for me. Like it's
Yeah.
those little things that you want to remember and
What do you think
reward.
triggered that for you? Like it's because some people could be kind of stuck in that. Is there something that kind of switched that on, or is it just because you just kind of thought, you know what, I've always been a goal setter. I'm gonna kind of start,
I
just
don't think
having new ones.
I don't think I was always a goal setter. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I've definitely have to develop that over time. But that was because I had to make the decision on my own. Like it's ultimately up to yourself to make that decision. You can have everybody, every sense of thing coming into your life to encourage you to keep going and stuff, but it is ultimately up to you. And whether that's like a countdown, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, like you're up and going, but you need to make that promise to yourself before you go and start achieving these things. Um, it's you. It's
Yeah.
just entirely up to you. And I remember thinking that to myself. I'm tired of feeling this way, and I know that my brain setting, it can be so much better if I can change it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it has to be me. It has to be me.
Now, so at this point, I mean, obviously you had thought you may not dance. So
Yeah.
did that also impact things in, now you do a lot of different things as well. You don't only do that. So did that contribute to that in a way? Like, did you have to start thinking a little more broadly at that time as to what you were going to do?
Yeah, great question. I did at that time, but knowing or thinking that I was never going to be able to dance, or about 6 months later, I did have a partner come up to me and ask if I wanted to start dancing. But even when I started dancing, it didn't feel the same. It didn't. I mean, I was still in so much pain, and I was still in the recovery stage. Like my bones hadn't even like fused all the way at that moment. But I had to reevaluate my life. Um, Prior to even having the surgery or going in, it's like the day of my surgery, my doctor turned to me and said, "Well, this is it. Like, you know that you're going to have to pick another career." And I'm like, it's okay. I have done everything that I always wanted to do, that I thought.
Yeah.
And I was ready to move on. And he was so sweet. He even played me a song in the surgery room, so that he's like, well, you don't want to get any moves out before going under. And we busted a few moves and then took me under. But I definitely, after waking up the 6 months of recovery time period that I wasn't able to do much, I had to think about like, okay, what is it that really brings me joy? And still in that creative space that I can continue doing so that I'm not losing my soul or my sanity. So that's where this is so crazy, but in the procedure, I gained 3 inches in height. In
Oh,
the matter
wow.
of 5 hours, I gained 3 inches, which I thought at the time was the perfect height to become a model. And I was like, well, let's just go for it. I signed up for some auditions, made the auditions. They encouraged me, like, hey, sign with an agency. So I signed with an amazing agency who's been just by my side. And I continued to take classes, and I did like developed new skills that were still working hand in hand with the dancing world, that, I wasn't scared to get in front of the camera, or I wasn't, I just, it all was similar to what I was already doing and
Yeah.
performing and expressing and artsy stuff. So that's how I ended up getting into the field of modeling and acting. From there, pandemic happened, everything shut down. And then you're like, okay, now what? What are we
Yeah.
gonna do? There's a small little part of me that ended up, a small part of my life that I ended up doing interior design work.
Mhm.
And that kept my creative juices going. I loved it so much, which put me in the world of product designing. So if I wanted to go work on set somewhere, it was very easy for me to be like, oh, well, this will look good. Or if I work with products, I can easily set something up, and I kept learning more things from other people. But I just felt like doors just kept opening up. And that is because I kept an open mind. And I knew that I had some type of goal or like direction that I wanted to go. And that was definitely in the creative world. So since then, I was hired with a company called Unique. I
Mhm.
was an assistant for 1 second. And then I became the producer because of all the connections that I had in the modeling world and dance world. And then I became their art director. So it just kept going. And that is because I just knew I had such a passion, or that I have a passion for expressing and being able to deliver like the story. And I love the collaboration that I get to do with other people. And it just all falls in line with I started at a young age. I danced on a ballroom team. I worked with a variety of people all over the world competing. And then
Mhm.
now I'm put in a company where I do all of those assets that I've ever learned in my life in this one area. So, and I have to be super careful though. Sometimes I'm like, yes, I could do a lot, but I only do this right now.
It's interesting that you say that because I was thinking that when you do all of those things, sometimes it can be hard to balance and also have a life outside of just your kind of core work passion, I guess. How do you, how do you juggle that? It sounds like a little bit of it is trying to kind of set some boundaries around what you do from that end, but I'll let you answer that, I guess.
It's definitely about creating boundaries for yourself. It's almost sounding selfish, but honestly, like you will not be capable of doing your best work until you've created those boundaries. And you need to know those boundaries before you start doing the work as well. So I've had to, it's like I've made mistakes and I had to learn from them. And I've realized, like, wow, I am completely burnt out. And then another project comes along and I'm like, I don't even have the energy or the capacity to be able to do this. So, how can I create my best work knowing, like I have security for my future as well, or that other doors will open up? I'm very much about like, after all the surgeries, other things that I have had to face, life-threatening illnesses and stuff like that, I've realized like I just don't want to take it like advantage of, or I do want to take advantage of life. There it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to make the best of life, whatever that is, whatever my energy is towards, like I want to make the best of it. So I picked up hiking. I did that during the pandemic. I did a lot of hiking. I learned so much independence being out in nature, and of course, I hike with other people, and I'm able to still socialize and have a good time. And but I I've had to really reevaluate of okay, if I'm working all the time, am I taking a day, at least a day, to do nothing? That's very hard for me to do because I
Yeah.
am a
Yeah.
a go 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 type person, and even if I'm hiking or my feet in the grass, like I have to take a day break, and that means like maybe laundry or something. But you have to, in order to really like reset and recharge, and then your bucket is full and you're just ready to go the next time. And if you're feeling like, hey, I'm very very burnt out, you let others know. It's okay to also ask for help. That's something
Yeah.
that I've had to learn is
Yeah.
asking for help is okay, and getting that support, because you never know what they may know that could help you as well and may better the experience or lighten your load, which is ultimately the thing that we want to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and I can't say that I'm perfect at it right now, but I've definitely learned my lessons, and I know that if I don't do it, my body will literally shut down, and it is a lifestyle that I've had to develop.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you've gone through some stuff that you've talked about, and and being a driven person, there's probably a certain amount of resilience that you've had to build up over time through your health stuff, but other things as well. And I'm just wondering, where does that come from? I mean, was that innate in you? Is it because you've been through some of those, whether it's your health struggles or things like that? Where do you think that comes from for you?
I think it's a combination of things. I come from a line of family that is very driven. I watched both of my parents just work extremely hard in their lives. My parents divorced at a very young age, but I still saw both of them, and both of them, went through rough times. And every time, they were going through something, it's just, I observed a lot, a lot of like, we're not giving up and we're going to keep going. That's what we have to do. We can't sit here and just wallow or, wait for something to come and take us away. Like
Hmm.
that doesn't exist. So, and like I said, that's probably where I learned like it's ultimately up to us. And it's also about, the people that we surround ourselves with. They have an impact on your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, is that something that you've kind of had to learn? Is that something you've always been good at? I mean, a lot of people that we have on talk about how they have had to come to that realization that a lot of your mindset and a lot of the things that you do and come from who you surround yourself with. And is that something that, you've been pretty good at all the time, or is that something that you've really had to kind of work on yourself?
I think both. Like
Yeah.
I've definitely had to work on it and I'm still working on it myself. Like I even gone to the depth of like what am I listening to? Like what
Yeah.
is like how is what I'm listening to, what I'm watching, is that doing good in my life, or is it contributing to the energy that I'm feeling and needing to feel, or is it just hindering and putting me down? When you're faced with chronic pain or you're going through a lot of stress in life, like those things can contribute. So you want to be really cautious of what those are. Obviously, you can see like even my space and like the bright colors as a
Yeah. Yeah.
reminder of like it's okay. It's also a short period of time when you're going through a hard time, and that's been just through experience of what I've learned. Um, yeah, it's definitely been a learning experience, and it's a continuing learning experience. I feel like there's always
Sure.
more that we can hone in on and make better and polish for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And if people, I mean, people who know you and maybe have connected with you through things like this and everything, is there something that people would be surprised to know about you?
Boy, I'm pretty open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm pretty open. You know, there is one thing I think I focus a lot about what I've been working on or something exciting that's coming, and that's typical of like social media these days. Like we want to talk about the good, right? And a lot of people don't really focus on the bad that happens. My pain is still there. I
Yeah.
I deal with it 24/7. There are days that are worse than others, and days where it's debilitating, and I'm really struggling. So you know that's kind of like, I feel our topic just went like woof. It can
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
really really difficult, but just know that that's also okay.
Yeah.
And it's a part of what we're meant to be going through it. I mean, I don't want to be like, hey, I signed myself up for this. I definitely have not. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know that, again, it's just a short period of time where I'm just going to be feeling this way. And there'll be other great, great times that I'll feel so much better and be able to, get through this. So just, I think some advice for those people that are maybe struggling at this time and really feeling that hardship is just don't give up. And if anything, like there are people like myself that are out there that are willing to hear you out and listen and be your support. And I'm cheering for you like 24/7. I guess people know that about me, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess like a little reminder for those that are out there that are maybe new to myself, like just know that I'm your biggest fan, and I know you can get through this, and there are going to be better days.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that because there are lots of people, I'm sure, who are either dealing with very specifically what you've dealt with, which are probably going through the same kind of struggles. But there's lots of people that, are listening that probably are going through just whatever their thing is
Yeah.
to hear that and to know that, there is a reality of it that you have to deal with it. And, everybody does. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, So, the one thing that we always do with every guest, and I'm sure they've taken lots of things away so far, but I thought it's interesting because you have, um, really opened yourself up to a bunch of different opportunities, especially, recently. And do you have a couple of, do you have any tips or advice that you give to individuals that are maybe looking to do that a little more? And sometimes that can be scary. Sometimes that can be something where I'm in my lane. I don't want to jump into other lanes. Do you have any thoughts or tips on what they can do to kind of help move that along?
I we always talk about what we've experienced, right? So this is what I've experienced. I just say like keep an open mind. Um, keep those doors opened, knowing that there is more in the future. Don't feel like you have to stay in this one spot, and if and like you need to make sure that you're still driven and passionate about what you're doing, because if you're not, you're probably not doing the best work that you can be doing or the best that you're capable of doing. And just know that like the sky is the limit. Past the sky is the limit. We have no idea.
Yeah,
So just stay open to it, and willing to adapt and just continue to learn. Like you can start over any day if you wanted to, and any age that you wanted to, and you're going to do fantastic if your mind is in it and your soul's in it. Like you're going to fly. So just
yeah,
keep doing what you're doing, or go another direction. Just don't be scared of actually going and doing what you're passionate about. If you don't know what it is, just stay open to it and just try some new avenues every once in a while. If you feel like you're um dabbing your feet in a lot of things, find that balance in your life so that you're
yeah,
not exhausted in the end.
yeah. Great advice. Great advice. So how, if people are going to, want to follow you and follow what's happening with you in the next little while, what are the best ways of being able to do that, Lee?
The best ways that you can follow me is through Instagram. My Instagram tag is hashtag, or not hashtag. uh, wow, why can I think of the name right now? Anyways, it's Laney Lane. So LANNIE_LANE.
Yes.
A lot of people want to call me Lonnie, but that's how people, my friends called me when I was little. That's how we spelt it. So it's Laney. And you can get it just if you want to message me, you're welcome to message me. If you want to email me, it's my full name, Alayne Wadsworth at gmail.com. And I'd love to be in touch with as many people as I can. If I can be any service or any help and support, I'm happy to be there.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll put those in the show notes anyway. So if you missed kind of the Instagram tag, just go into the show notes right now, and you'll be able to kind of click through there and see all the great stuff that's happening, and be able to connect with Alayne as well. If you haven't hit subscribe on the podcast, do that now too. We have great people every week, and again, lots of great stuff happening with you. So really appreciate you taking the time today, Alayne. Really loved our chat today.
Thank you so much. That was so fun. Thank you so much for having me with you guys.
All right. And everybody else, we will talk again soon on Big Idea, Big Moves.